Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tipple's Brews and Wines presentation of the Wine of the Week with Jeff and Elizabeth Vaudrey from Gainesville, Florida. This week,
I'm not actually from Gainesville, Florida, but
we are
that's
live.
fine. We are
from
live
Gainesville,
from
or
Gainesville,
being
Florida.
recorded from Gainesville.
We are being
Florida,
recorded
as the case
live
may
from Gainesville, Florida.
be. That's right. All this, including our large dog, sitting on the couch, and you could see him in the
Did you see him?
background. That's why I was distracted and started laughing. So, all right. So this week, why don't you go ahead and pull the first slide for me? We are going to be drinking the DeLille Cellars Chaleur Blanc Bordeaux style white blend from the Columbia Valley in Washington State. Wonderful ratings on this guy. We'll see what we think of it. What is a Bordeaux white blend?
I'm looking forward to finding out.
That's right. We'll get into it. Food pairings: Cornish game hen, veal piccata, asparagus risotto, and yellowtail sashimi.
That sounds really good.
Right.
I forgot what we're having this evening.
We're having something that works. It's like along the lines of veal piccata, but ours is going to be some shrimp, chicken, a little bit of a light steak.
I thought we were having salmon and we changed that.
Did we not get that one?
With the steak, it was the other one.
Oh, we got the salmon.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be better. Yeah,
Okay.
It's like
All right.
salmon.
There's no chicken. It's like all seafood. It's,
Okay,
it's salmon and shrimp.
Oh yeah, that's right. You found that one with the salmon and shrimp. All right, so that's what we're having. Sorry.
Something.
This is riveting.
Now you can see how Jeff's mind works. It was the first thing.
If it's the first thing, it locks in.
Yeah.
We change it and it doesn't get replaced. So, all right. So this is that magical time when we
So I'm
have introduced it. We've talked about food pairings. Let's take a sniff and take a sip.
So you were doing kind of a hard pour. Is it just because you were doing that? Because you don't have to aerate whites, right? Or because it's Bordeaux, do you have to aerate?
All right, with nicer whites, you can get some effect from aerating them. Not a lot, right? They don't need a lot or want a lot, but a nice splash on the way in will never hurt a thing.
Okay.
And the other thing is also it'll help fill the glass with aromas because it was turbulent on the way out. Oh, that's pretty. All right, so this is, as I mentioned, Bordeaux Blanc, right? Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon.
Okay.
So 67% Sauvignon Blanc, 33% Semillon. That is the traditional blend used in Bordeaux, France for their white blends.
Okay.
And in this case, Bordeaux styling from the New World in Washington State. Oh, that's rich. Alcohol content 13.9%. And age worthiness. Let's take a guess.
That's pretty high, right?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some tartness. There's a roundness in there, which I'll explain in a minute.
Okay.
Some tartness, higher alcohol. So it is a white wine. Very few are meant to age a long time.
So
but
5 years.
5 years optimally.
Okay.
Yes, you're exactly right. And I would give this one a stretch to up to 7. And I will also say, because there are certain well-made white wines that when they get older and they oxidize a little bit and they turn a little darker in color and get these caramelly notes, I think that would play incredibly well in this wine. So because I like that flaw that develops in the right wine, I actually kind of want to drink this at 10 years old.
Okay. So, and then I think it was Rachel, super golden, love that it's not apple-ish.
Oh, right.
Yeah, me too.
So, not apple-ish. What is it? Right. This is aged primary we'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay.
Primary fermentation, stainless steel. It is finished on French oak.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of freshness. It's not jumping out of here with vanilla. So, but they did use some neutral French oak on here to give it some roundness, some weight, and to bring out some of the natural spice that can be in that Semillon.
Okay.
So as far as aromas and going into
I like
spices.
that call, starfruit.
Starfruit? Oh, that's a great
Mhm.
call.
Yeah,
Starfruit, I would also go apricot.
yeah, apricot.
And then on that honey quality, the honeydew, honeysuckle, rather,
Yes.
honeysuckle. And if you guys smell, and it's coming out, there's a ginger pipe. There's a ginger, like a pinch of ginger spike on the top of the nose.
Mhm.
And I love it.
And then
That gingery
I'm
quality.
not sure if John is there. They did list him. Oh, he's there. Okay.
Hey, John.
Just a hand. So they're saying they're getting a lot of floral notes.
Okay, yeah, totally. So that's where I would go with, I would say honeysuckle predominantly
Okay.
as on the floral. But definitely also like almost a white blossom daisy-ish quality, something a little drier, almost akin to a grassiness, but I don't quite want to say grassy. But I don't, have you ever smelled like a white mum or a white daisy? They don't have a lot of
Just a
scent
little
going on to them,
scent.
just this little bit of a light floral scent.
Mhm.
Really nice spice on the palate too. On the baking spice side, I certainly
I was gonna say
gingery.
by spice, because I don't get
Yeah.
pepperiness at all.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say, but there's a gentle ginger cinnamony thing going on for me. And that to me is a little bit of the oak making itself known.
Mhm.
I think the ginger is popped up and enhanced by the oak. I think the other side of what I'm getting is from the oak.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
And then Dal Smiths agree, definitely white flowers, like orange blossom, maybe. I think it seems
Oh, okay.
slightly oaked. There's a little baking spices. So agree with you with the baking spices. And yes, it is slightly oaked on French oak
Right,
after the stainless, you said.
right,
Mhm.
yep. It is likely, it is oaked. Most of it, they don't do it. It's interesting. They break it up. Let's say proportionally, and maybe 85% of it gets oak and
Mhm.
15 doesn't, to keep all the freshness in order to then blend it back together.
Mhm.
It's probably something like that. They just said predominantly, so.
And then a little petrol there. I'm getting that more on the
Yeah.
nose from
Yeah,
Yes,
I would
like
say more on the nose. I could go with a little.
little petrol and then
Um,
slight smoke is what they're saying. Too. And if you disagree, you should say, just say they're wrong. They're not even on camera.
That's right, honey. All right, I can go a little note on that. To me, it's a little bit more of the volcanic ashy effect on the soil of a mineral jump out there than smoke for me,
I'm
but
not getting smoke, but I am getting petrol.
they come from similar things, you know, a lot of times from that soil coming
Okay.
through, so. Perception, but predominantly I get like that, and like, I like to call, like they mentioned, like an orange blossom. I get like a blossom, like some kind of a.
Use your.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
Do you want me to
Mhm.
share again? Okay.
Yes. Unless anyone has something else to say, and feel free to
Well,
take the mic if you're ready.
Because Cheryl's mic went on for a moment, but it didn't, it sounded like background noise,
Right.
not. So if you wanted to contribute, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I
if you
just
want
didn't
to.
want us to be eavesdropping in your conversation.
Right.
I can feel where the petrol's gonna come from, but it's not quite there yet.
Mhm.
Mm,
You mean
Yeah.
like if you kept it and in 5
No,
years you had it?
yes,
As
I
though
don't
we
get
could keep
smoke
it
at
for
all,
5
but I
years.
get that, just, it's gonna push towards petrol, but it's not there yet.
mhm.
Right. Well, honestly, I think what that is a little bit of the boozy lift, right? We're talking about almost a 14% white wine, right? So you could be getting a little alcohol heat, which we don't talk about often because we don't taste it often with the wine level that we normally drink
So
with
you're
this group.
saying if you're tasting smokiness, then that's the alcohol heat or the petrol?
The petrol side.
Okay.
I think to me, the petrol playing with the, the heat, the alcohol heat,
Mhm.
playing with that floral, it could kind of turn into something, because I'm not quite getting petrol, but I get why you would say it.
I
type
am.
of thing.
Mhm. It's
To me, I
okay.
just-
I disagree with you sometimes.
It's fine. That's fine. To me, I just love every time I go in here and I smell a little bit more of that ginger. I'm so happy with you. Well done, ma'am. All right. let's go ahead and jump onto the slides.
Okay, talk about the label.
Time for the label. All right, so common to many US style wine labels, there's a lot of good specific information on here, which is nice. Things that if you just pick this wine bottle up in a store and no one's there to help you, you can make sense, right? You can look at this and you don't have to know. It's not going to just say, this is a Columbia Blanc, right? Figure it out what that means, right? It's anyway, that part is very nice. So DeLille Cellars, the Chaleur Blanc right there, that could be a little confusing because it's got the word Blanc in there and you might be thinking, well, is that a grape? You know what's going on. So there
I
is
was just
that.
thinking it meant white wine, and here you go, it's white.
And there it is. It is,
There you go.
it is white wine. Columbia Valley white wine is right down there to help answer that question, right? Produced and bottled wine, but not estate.
Okay,
All right, so produced, yes, they did make all this wine. So this is a negotiant situation. They are purchasing these grapes, long-term contracts. It's almost as good as owning them in their case. They have a lot of control over how it's grown, how
Okay.
it's picked. Their people pick them. They're
Mhm.
sent in to do it their
Oh,
way.
really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah, they're not just buying juice that was already done and pressed.
So it's
and that
almost
kind of
like
thing.
leasing the land, like.
It really is more
yeah,
like that.
Kind of, if
Yeah.
you're completely in charge of the way it's grown and the way it's picked and all of that, yeah.
Jumping onto the back, the grape blend is right there in bold. Because they have a nice listing of the region and they talk a little bit. I like how they put in the world has plenty of Chardonnay. That's so great. We chose to honor another legendary French tradition, the white Bordeaux. So
So there's a lot of explanation on the back.
Nice
I
explanation.
never see it before,
Mhm.
so.
right. And it goes into a little bit about the fact that it has stainless steel and then a little oak on it,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. So, and then founded in 1992, a little bit about themselves. It's got the winemaker and the director of winemaking on there, which is kind of nice that they give them that credit. And product in the USA. Anyway, nicely done. All right, I'm looking for white wine to go with dinner. This looks nice. Why not? It'll get, I think it does a lot to help.
Okay,
If you're looking for Sauv Blanc, you see it's Sauv Blanc and Semillon, you might wonder, but it's dominantly Sauv Blanc. So if you're already a Sauv Blanc lover, you might give it a shot.
mhm. Advance,
Yes, please. Sauvignon Blanc. The origin is in the Loire Valley in France, which is in the northern part. We'll look at a map in a moment.
okay.
Regular flavorings in here: gooseberry, honeydew, grapefruit, white peach.
I don't think I've had gooseberry. We should have gooseberry to see what that
I'll bring
tastes
some there.
like. Okay,
Super sour.
they're super sour?
Yes.
Ooh, I would love them.
Okay, we'll get some
Yeah.
gooseberries. That sounds good. Peach, by the way, I could throw a little white peach into the mix
Sure,
here with what
sure.
we're tasting tonight. Production is down there. France dominates for single countries, then New Zealand, which is such a tiny place. It's amazing that they just produce such a large amount of Sauv Blanc for their size. It's crazy. Chile, South of Africa, then Moldova, and then other countries. So look now, the US doesn't even line up.
Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I know you mentioned it before, the honeydew. I do get a honeydew note to it.
mhm,
Mhm.
good. All right,
And there's Semillon.
Semillon. So here we go.
So the
Semillon.
grapes are much more golden, or is this just the picture?
No, it's much more gold.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a thicker skinned grape.
okay.
No, wait, it is not. It is a thin skinned grape, but it's very golden, very golden, but it's got this intensity and this almost waxy quality that the skin can give
Okay,
that adds weight and roundness to the blend. All right. France's third most planted white grape behind Sauv Blanc and Chardonnay. Rich and heavy bodied, a very easy grape to like. Utilized in Bordeaux vastly dominantly. Makes great dry all the way through sweet wines, and there are dessert wines made. Which, by the way, their dessert wines tend to be Sauv Blanc, Semillon as well, but they're usually flip-flopped. It's more Semillon, Sauv
Okay.
Blanc. But when they make a dessert wine, they leave it on the vine all the way past ripeness
Mhm.
to where they get a little bit of a very special kind of mold on them called botrytis.
Okay. Oh,
And
you talked about
right,
botrytis. before.
Botrytis stays out of the grape. It just sits on the grape, drinking its water.
Oh,
So it
okay.
resonates and it
dehydrates.
dehydrates and intensifies the grape.
Okay,
So that is how you end up getting Sauterne. Sauterne is the official dessert wine of Bordeaux.
Okay,
And it comes from the same producers usually that are making white Bordeaux. Let's see here. Yeah, thin skin, susceptible to rot and such. That's one reason why
I
you would
was just
think,
gonna ask susceptible to rocks, they leave it on for so long that,
well, it is susceptible to rot if grown in any place that deals with humidity on a regular basis. So they have to be very careful with where they grow it in Bordeaux,
Mhm.
easier to grow it in Washington.
okay,
Goes inland when they're in that
Yeah.
Columbia Valley. One other place that jumps in mind, which I have not had Semillon, but didn't you just send me an article about they're ripping out Chardonnay and putting in Semillon in Mendoza?
so I
That was just this week.
talked about before, I go to my news first in the morning, and then I have a whole thing of wine stuff that
Right,
I send to Jeff
because I read this and I thought
as I find things that are
Yeah,
interesting. that I think he'll
Semillon.
like.
Semillon would be amazing in Mendoza. Low humidity, almost no bugs. It's a desert. Guess what else is a desert? The Columbia Valley. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know there was, I
Yeah,
read
it
it
was-
at the time, I did not keep it because I figured you would.
No, I
So
have it,
there you
and
go.
it's Semillon, and you
Alright.
sent it to me. All right, so lemon on the less ripe side, if it's cooler, right?
Mhm.
Green apple, pear, all the way through papaya on the riper side. And we've talked about star fruit, so we obviously got to that tropical side.
Yep.
Here we are. All right.
Papaya.
Mhm. It's delicious. So these are both from the Loire Valley here up in the northern, not as far as Champagne, but certainly in the northern part of France originally. Sauv Blanc still not only grown here, but the finest Sauv Blanc in the world is grown in the Loire Valley in Sancerre. Over
So
here.
Over there.
Yep. This is all along the Loire River. That's why the valley is there. All right, so, but they grow plenty of it down here in Bordeaux, Sauv Blanc and the Semillon dominantly down here, even though I said it comes from here, but really almost all its reasonable production is down there now. And then in other areas of the world. So that is the origin. The grapes. All right,
Two
so
different grapes.
two different grapes, both dealing with not particularly thick-skinned grapes. The Sauv Blanc particularly keeps a lot of acid, so it's going to have a larger amount of effect on the flavor on the central and intermediate zones than a lot of, like, the red wines we're always talking about peripheral zone.
Mhm.
But the Semillon is more of a white grape. That flavor comes from the peripheral zone also, more like a red grape.
Oh, wow.
Flavor, texture, because they get this kind of thickness and the heaviness that comes from the grape. It can lose all of its acid if you leave it on, like I talked about. So it's more, it kind of behaves a little bit more like a Pinot Noir grape or something,
That's
because it's like a thin-skinned white
Mhm.
that will, but its flavor comes from the outside, more like one of the red wine grapes.
Are there any other white grapes that are like that? Because I don't think I've heard you talk about any of the other ones.
I'd say the closest one I could think of is Viognier,
Okay. Alright.
maybe Marsan and Rousseau.
You stretching for those?
Yeah, they get kind of that waxy kind of thing too
Okay.
going on. So as I thought, because I've never thought of the question before. So as I was thinking it
These are not
through,
pre-done questions?
right, as I was thinking it through, my brain kept saying, well, maybe that, and maybe that,
Okay.
and maybe, yeah.
Ready?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Wherever there's.
Where in the world are we, right?
Yeah.
Columbia Valley, Washington. So we're over here. We're in the northern half of the northern wine growing latitude.
You're in the northern third quarter.
Yeah. Up here, inland a bit, in the basically Washingtonian desert. So take another look. This is the region as it goes through the valley. The Columbia Valley, very warm days, desert-like dryness in summer, quickly cooling nights, much more like a desert as well, helps to keep the ripeness from happening too quickly. Leave them on the vine as long as possible to gain character, right? Allows a long growing season without worry of a late season rainfall to dilute the juice. Soil composition was created 13,000 to 15,000 years ago With the Missoula floods, glacial melting created a lake the size of Lake Michigan today.
Wow.
That was there. Ice dams broke and the water flooded all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So that brought volcanic soils into the area. All the flow brought in all these things.
So that was that,
As
what
it
you're talking
slowly-
about as far as the volcanic soils coming out and the taste and the
Right.
aromas and everything that, yeah.
There's a lot of volcanic soil in there. So there's ash, lots of sandy soil, volcanic minerality. We'll see some of the soil. It's gray. And there are no trees. So like when they plant grapevines, they don't even have to do anything. Just dig a hole anywhere. There's nothing here. You'll see.
So that's why you called it a desert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a desert with a very strong river that runs through it so they can irrigate.
cool.
So the French, we've talked about this, do
Mhm.
not irrigate their
Oh,
They're
right.
vines,
They're
right? Not allowed.
to, right?
not allowed, not a thing. Has to be whatever you get, you get.
We did not plan on synchronizing that, by the way.
Yeah. But other areas are more flexible in that standard, which I think is the standard they should consider changing in France. But
Going to, but you should write them into.
you know, look,
Jeff Dre says, I think this is a standard you should consider changing because of climate change, thinking you might have to use some irrigation.
just saying, they're gonna write back. Idiot, no.
We will not. We do not recognize your French last name at all.
That's right, your Gainesville knowledge is nothing to us. All right,
Ready?
yes. So here's a little better look. Most of what we are drinking is from the Red Mountain district. So this tiny little district here. But it gives elevation in addition to the the general dryness and soil that's going on there. Why elevation? Elevation allows a little more UV radiation
Mhm.
to get to the skins and thickens them up, gives them a little more character. Now, they source from some other areas, they didn't, around here, but dominantly DeLille is Red Mountain area, basically, Red Mountain and adjacent. So, remember we did with Canoe Ridge, it was largely Wakulla Slope.
I do remember that.
Waluka Slope. I want to say Wakulla because we have Wakulla Springs in Florida.
True.
So look at the Columbia Valley. A lot of Bordeaux blends listed right there.
Mhm.
And here it is. The only green I see are grapevines.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything else is just like
Yeah,
gray beige.
right.
Mhm.
So yeah, I already went through the Columbia Valley lineup, so we'll just take a look. But you can see here they are, and here's what they had. I mean, that's what it looked like on this side before.
Sure.
It seems crazy to
So
think.
why don't they grow on the other side? Do you know?
They probably just haven't gotten to it yet, I would assume.
Oh, okay.
I don't know for
I
sure.
didn't know if there was something preventing them, like
I don't think there's anything.
some
preventing it.
environmental.
Yeah. I think it means that there's some land to be bought. We should get together.
Yeah.
We're gonna call
Well,
it.
in Washington, no, I will be inside like in layers and layers and
It's
layers.
not that cold in Washington. It really isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Is it 90 in the summer?
Oh, yes.
It really?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, okay.
I thought I had it. Normally I
You
put
know,
in the
here's the
line.
thing though, humidity keeps people looking young.
Well,
I know you're not a fan of humidity, but it keeps people looking young. So there you go.
okay.
See, there's one for humidity.
There's one for humidity.
Yeah.
All right.
Next.
Yes. All right. DeLille Cellars. And I left the E off the end. I'm sorry. All right. It has an E on the end, which is why I often accidentally say DeLille, but it's DeLille.
I don't know why you would say DeLille. You're the whole, like, you love phonics and the E
I
would
know.
only make the I say its name if there was one L
It's-
in between.
I see it here kind of, it's silk goldy and I'm saying, I've worked on it. I haven't said it wrong the whole time, right? DeLille.
Okay.
DeLille Cellars, founded in 1992. Here's the founding group. So, founded in 1992 by Chris Upchurch, Jay Soloff, Greg Lill, and his father, Charles Lill.
Ah,
So named in honor of Greg's grandfather, Julius DeLille, who was a Huguenot who fled the French city of Lille to escape religious persecution. He fled to the Czech Republic and started a winery and a brewery there, which started this family's involvement in the industry.
Huh, a
That's it.
winery and a brewery there.
Sounds like somebody I know.
You're gonna start a winery and a brewery?
That's the, if I make something, I'm gonna do both. Yeah, why not?
Okay, all right, cool.
I could. All right, so they just had, they're dedicated to Bordeaux style blends, whether it be red or white. Really highly regarded. They were one of the first wineries to get a 5-star rating from Jeb Dunnick,
Oh, wow.
for the winery as a whole. Just had their 30th anniversary last year. And they pride themselves on the philosophy that excellent components blended properly make a better whole. So
I agree with that.
it's a thing that I would say, you know, I was like 1 + 1 = 3. That's
Mhm.
basically their point, you know. If you
I
do it
don't
right,
agree with that, but yes,
you know what I'm
I
saying.
agree with the concept of it. The mathematician in me is like,
We could do douchebaggy business speak and like, it's all about
It's
synergy.
we did not plan on that either.
All right, if you go to the next one,
All
we can
right.
have someone talk about them more intelligently than I am. Here we go. No, it's going to there's hit the plus.
Hold on a second. They can't hear it either.
They can't either.
No,
That's weird.
because David just gave me a up. So hold on.
My name is Jason Gorski. I'm the director of winemaking and viticulture here at DeLille Cellars. Tasting our 25th vintage Chaleur Blanc today, the 2019 vintage, an amazing milestone, a quarter century of making this wine. Very traditional blend. We're not aiming to reinvent the wheel. So Sauvignon Blanc dominated, especially in the early stages of development. You wouldn't know that there's 30+% of Semillon here. The wine is actually that fermented for 6 months. So you have to get some a variety of smells, everything from simple, baguette, white bread, all the way through brioche, or something very rich and warmer spices, more associated with the cooperage. Brought up in French oak, so we get a lot of toasty elements. We call Cellars undergrowth pine trees. Starting to get a little bit more floral elements coming through. Actually, got like a hint of violets. I love the little bit of tropical elements that always come out of this wine over time. We do everything into palate, into thinking it's sweet. That the stirring of the leaves being in a barrel kind of give you the impression of weight and something sweet on the palate. This wine is incredibly dry, especially as that acid comes right through. Makes your mouth water. Brilliant food wine. Everything in the Pacific Northwest, salmon crab, best pairing I've ever had with this fresh Dungeness crab and just a classic Blanc. It's just a match made. This program is my favorite wine to make in the entire cellar. It's an incredibly complex program. Now we use 16 different combinations of cooperages or barrel makers and toasts. We use multiple forms of yeast to actually ferment, 3 culture or laboratory prepared yeasts, and then generally 15 to 20% of this blend we actually allow to go through beta fermentation using the vineyard species that come in. We'll start that ferment, and generally we have our own house yeast, as most wineries have, but an abundance of yeast in the air that help to finish out those ferment. Combine that with all of the 5 different vineyard sites that we source from. Every single barrel is a different wine. So when we go to blend, we now have 220, 240 individual wines. They all taste different. They all have character. You blend everything together and get something that's harmonious, and sometimes it feels a little bit miraculous.
That's great. I mean, this is a group of people that are really, they're not just making something so they can sell a whole bunch of it.
Right,
They're proud of their work. They put the extra work in.
yeah,
And I love that he told the truth about yeast. He's like, yeah, we have a house yeast. We have yeast that we use, a different yeast to get different things. And so, look, I understand that there's some wineries that really do just use whatever's on the grapes. They're like only naturally occurring yeast.
right.
Right. But I'm pretty sure naturally occurring gets stretched with a lot of people that say that. So,
Sure.
and there's no reason, like, what do I care which yeast you use? Anyway, separate discussion. So, and when he's a Dungeness crab with this, oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh my God,
absolutely.
that would be incredible.
Should I advance or stop?
Well, let's stop and discuss.
Okay.
All right. So that was the spiel. What is the deal? So, any additional thoughts now that we've had a minute or a few extra minutes? Do you need to refill?
No, I'm good. I just refilled myself, but. And any pairings, what are you?
What are you guys having it with?
Yes.
This could be incredibly flexible. There's a lot going on.
The Dalsmiths just each took a bite,
Yeah,
so.
that's perfect timing. So, but it looks like a bowl. I'm thinking like,
You're just gonna guess what they're
that's
eating?
right. I'm thinking ramen and ramen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your guess? That's part of the bit now is everyone guesses what we're eating for dinner and.
Yeah, I think
Been watching you eat, so I know Robin is just watching herself on the screen.
Yeah, 100%.
We did like a shrimp scampi over like a piccata orzo. So orzo with lemon, capers,
Garlic.
yeah,
white
garlic,
wine.
onion, white wine, all those other things, and then separately made like a shrimp scampi real quick, but then combined them at the end.
It goes very well.
Exceptionally well.
Yeah, I think the like lemon in the food helps with the wine, and then I think you mentioned also just.
Oh, I think that the food really helps bring out some of the fruit notes of the wine. Like when you were talking about like, oh, commonly has pear and all those other things. I was like, that comes out with the food especially. Like it really makes it pop. By itself, every time I have a sip of this by itself, I'm like, oh, this is good. I wish I was having it with some of this because it really brings out like a lot of really cool flavors.
Yeah, for me, the floral notes come out when we're not having food, and
Yeah.
the fruit notes come out when we are having food.
Huh,
oh, nice.
that's,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right.
yeah.
I think the oakiness really comes out when you're not having it with something. When you have it with something else, I think it all melds really nicely.
It's interesting you talk about the oakiness because we didn't mention it early on because we just popped the bottle, and now I get a little of that toastiness that he was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you.
A little warmer. Yeah, I'm like, I get it now.
Before he was like, I don't know what Chris is talking about.
Well, no, the winemaker was talking about toastiness.
Oh,
not
toastiness,
smokiness.
not smokiness. He still does not agree with you about smokiness, just to clarify. And I was gonna look up what we are having because Robin mentioned the lemon, and I'm trying to find what we're having this evening. So today is my parents' anniversary. And so my mother did not cook. It is their 53rd anniversary.
Right.
Oh, there it is. The salmon gambari.
That's
No,
it. Yeah,
this
that's
is
it.
what we're
Yeah,
having.
that's it.
If you told her the right thing, this is
I did.
a combination. Oh, so it says combination of 6-ounce grilled salmon and 4 jumbo shrimp with fresh Italian herbs, topped with feta cheese and lemon sauce.
Yes.
Remember that lemon.
This
So,
is going to
so
kill me.
that should pair really well. Okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Super
yeah.
excited. Actually, one second.
So my mother did not cook, but they did send a menu to us and have us.
I think it's going to be so good. I'm going to wish I brought a second bottle.
I mean, it's 7 minutes down the road.
Right.
You could
We'll
just
make
like,
I'll tell Jake to throw one in the fridge.
all right.
We had
Right.
More where that came from.
and we had sushi and seaweed salad, none of which we made. So it had, all the right stuff to kind of like bounce back and forth. It was good.
Nice.
Well, you said what yellowtail sashimi on the pairing,
Right.
so.
Yeah. And
yeah.
and wakame would be amazing with it. It
Mhm.
really would.
I mean, I love wakame, so.
So,
So we
And what
had-
did John make tonight?
he made grilled pork chops and grilled tofu with asparagus risotto and a blue cheese mixed green salad. And it was great with the food. All of us here agreed that it was better with the food than by itself. And we're trying to figure out why we don't like it by itself. Because like I told them, I said, my word is it's too intense. But yet I love those big, intense red wines and I can drink them all the time by themselves. but we're sitting here saying, what is it we don't like about the wine when it's just by itself that we enjoyed with the food? There's something that's lingering that we're just not enjoying as much.
So you said something about like rounding or something earlier, but you never explained that.
Well, it's got a round, heavier mouthfeel. That's
Okay.
from the Semillon and from the oak. So this is a very big, robust white wine. That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons. That's one of the reasons I thought, oh, they're gonna love this one. This is the one where Linda's gonna say to me, you know, it was a white wine and I loved it.
But only with
So-
food.
That's right.
But I'll
Only-
echo what Chris said. When you're drinking it by itself, the floral notes the floral stuff takes over.
Mhm.
And that gets sort of tamped down when you're eating it with food. And so
Right.
definitely really nice with the meal.
Yeah, it was very good with the food, but just by itself, I don't think this is not something I would pick up as a porch wine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense to me, actually.
Mhm.
So Robin, I agree. I'm looking forward to the feta with this. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be good.
And then Rachel said it needs some fat to round it out.
Mhm.
So
Well, it's a big white wine. So I think that's,
it will, yes. And to me, yeah, I wouldn't choose it as porch wine either, but I'm enjoying it now.
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to, and we have nothing left.
no,
No,
no. We do.
Okay, it was the way it hit the label. It
Oh,
looked like
right.
the bottle was empty.
Yeah, no,
so-
we have a glass and a half.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
We have enough to be able to appreciate
right.
it then with the
All right.
meal.
Excellent. Well, thank you,
Okay.
everybody, for sharing.
And Chris said the roundness and mouthfeel was exactly what I was thinking. It kind of sticks to the palate by itself, but with an acid, it feels balanced.
Yeah, okay.
You have nothing to add to that?
Well, no, I think that's great and it's well said, but I didn't want to be like, yes, all right, I'm glad you agree with me or something like that. So,
Gold star. See,
that's right.
That's-
Yeah,
you have to give that positive reinforcement,
Okay.
see?
right. I'm thinking several things that I don't want to say before people put their ratings out.
You don't want to influence their ratings.
Exactly. That's why I kept stumbling on my words, because I was about to say something and I was like, nope. Can't say it yet.
All right. Okay, so. I'm gonna share again, but it's going to try and grab it, so just be prepared that it's gonna try and start again.
Indigo Montoya.
Oops, nope, didn't see that.
That's
You
right.
you have no idea what just happened. There we go.
There you go. All right. Wine score. So you guys saw this gun's at 92 and 90 or 91. I can't remember. It's back on the first slide, but anyway, 92 and 90. If they're both in the 90 plus range, it regularly scores in the 90 plus range. I've never seen it not. But that's what they think, right? So these are the guys looking at it. It's a combination in my mind for what I like to do is I start with, did I enjoy the wine? That's fair. That's what you should think. But then you pack into it, how much did the wine cost? And where did it come from? And how does it measure up to other wines of that style? Because it might not be your style, right? This is an amalgamation. These are all things that I put in there.
I don't think we have.
We might not have had I thought we did one Bordeaux Blanc.
You're probably right, but.
I think
don't-
we've done one, but it was a long
Okay.
time ago.
All right,
So you're not regularly drinking them, right?
yeah.
So, though you can, and you're, compare it to say, hey, how does this compare to just most Sauvignon Blancs that I drink? Does it bring more to the table than that, since it's dominantly Sauvignon
Mhm.
Blanc? Anyway, thoughts like that are what go through my mind.
Okay, yeah, no, that, I like that statement because I drink like more Sauvignon Blanc.
Mhm. Right.
Not more than reds, but.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so you kind of find something to hang your hat on in there,
Okay,
and then you combine it with, was it well made? Did it match what they were trying to go for? That kind of a thing.
okay.
Does this taste like a good version of a Bordeaux Blanc? Is also something to think about, but you would have to have some familiarity with Bordeaux Blanc. That's next level, right? So everything I already said is kind of where I would go with it.
I mean, I'm pretty much an expert on Bordeaux Blancs.
You're all about it.
All right, so I'll stop the share moment. You guys can throw
So-
in your scores. And we have, let's see, it's more creamy by itself. So that was from before.
Mhm.
I don't know whether I agree with you or not, Robin, because I haven't eaten yet, but
Hmm.
we'll see. All right,
That's
so then we
amazing.
have, Robin is a 90. Wish I had it with a crusty bread, butter and crab legs. Ooh,
Yes, that
yes.
would be outstanding.
Mhm, yeah, for sure. Great call, Rachel. I don't know what
On
that's.
her, her food thing that she just said.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it said Robin, Rachel. There are 2 R's in, yeah. Mhm. Need to pay more attention. All right, Linda 87, Brenda 90 with food
Mhm.
and 88 alone, just with food. It's only with food.
But you know, and look, we're talking about, they're saying, even though it was the version that they liked a little less, right? Was
Still an 88.
still in the upper 80s. That's a
Yeah.
very good one.
Yeah.
So
So let me ask you a question before I read more. Because it is in the French style,
mhm.
if you're going after an old world style, they're meant to be consumed with.
Correct. Yes.
So it is really, if it is an old world style, then it is not meant to be a porch wine.
It really isn't made to be. You're right. It's made to be something that's enjoyed with food directly, that pairs and enhances the entire thing.
Right.
So yes, you're totally right. Old world is not generally made to be consumed without you munching on something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that is something to take into consideration, that wines are, the old world style wines are, their intention is that you are eating with them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay. And then John in 89, Laura in 90, Chris in 92-ish with food, 90-ish without. Let's call it 91. Yeah, that would be the average of those two.
He nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I haven't had it with food yet.
Right.
So I would be at a 90.
All right. That's fair. I think it's going to go up a
Mhm.
point or two when you have it with food.
Mhm.
So calling it a 90 is very fair.
It's actually
Okay.
high praise for white.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. It's high praise.
Mhm. Yep.
I don't know if the Montrals want to jump in before we move. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, because I don't want to,
Influence.
I don't want to influence, and sometimes I try to be like, oh, I'm gonna be the impartial one and just lay it out there. I think this is spectacular. I'd give it a 93 minimum.
Oh,
And
wow.
I will drink this
Tell us why.
once a week. The ginger pop, that
Oh, the
the wonderful
ginger.
apricot, the weight on my palate without it being a Chardonnay. A little bit of toastiness in there. And then imagining what it could be with so many foods in addition. I
You
love this
have
wine.
to Imagine, we will
I know.
after
But
this.
I love this wine. I think it's like, to me, this is just boom, wow. Like, this is the kind of wine where sometimes people walk in the store and they're eating something and I'll walk up and I just put a bottle because they want a food pairing wine. And I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Do you break into song from Moana? Because Jeff loves that song.
I do love that song. I could practice it more and probably sing it.
There you go.
I know
If you haven't heard it, it is one of Jeff's favorites.
it's okay. It's okay. You're welcome.
Okay.
So, and also this is the kind of wine I think that, like Jake would walk up in his line is, if you don't like this, it's your fault.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I could definitely.
that's Jake's thing.
Yeah.
If you don't like this wine, it's your
I see
fault.
Jake saying.
Yeah. So that's where I am. I think this is a really great, distinctive wine, very well made, beautiful work. And I don't normally wax fantastic
You
about
do.
white wines as much, or even wines in general.
You actually don't throw your opinion in that often.
I don't. I try to be,
You
because
try
I
to
don't,
be impartial?
I do, and plus I don't want to take over when I'm inviting everyone's opinions in. I don't want anyone to think, oh, and then just stomped all over what I thought, and I would never do that. I'm just saying, for me, I think this is particularly delicious. So,
And we do have one more comment. So Chris said, I think the apple brown sugar notes come out a lot as it warms up and without food. So is that a plus or a minus for you? I'm not sure.
Kind of neither, and that's also kind of why I'm like not like torn on the wine, but it's also why I find it difficult to rate the wine, is because by itself I really like it, and with food I really like it, but for two totally separate reasons. And I kind of get two totally different notes out of it. So even though I like it a little bit more with the food, I think it's interesting how it's opened up and developed some of those flavors. Yeah, it's not positive or negative. It's just like it just sort of changes a little bit.
It is what it is.
It's, I like, it's like, it's a, well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, hey, that's fun.
Hey, that's good too. Okay.
I do, I like the complexity of it.
And
Yeah.
see, that's something else I would throw out there,
Mhm.
right? A lot of white wine is not particularly complex. We've been talking about a ton of different flavors in this wine,
Mhm.
and it's white. And I think that's another thing that speaks to the quality of this wine.
Real quick, that actually directly relates to what I was gonna say, which is like, I unintentionally, I guess, didn't vote on or give a rating, but typically I like a really like crisp white wine of like, oh boy, it hit 5 o'clock. I can have my nice, like refreshing glass of white wine or whatever. And I find that I don't often like think about white wine in terms of flavors or like dissect it the way that I do red wines. And part of that is kind of nice of like, oh, I can just drink this with being like, yes, a nice tasting wine, and I don't have to think about it. So I think I think this wine is great. I think it's just very depending on what your mood is. Like if you want to be able to like have a white wine that is more like you're unpacking it a little bit, this is phenomenal. If you want to just have a like, I'm gonna knock my boots back and like drink some white wine, that's, I don't know. I think this is very good, but not what I typically expect or look for, I guess, for a white wine.
No, and I think that goes along with what Linda was saying about it not being a porch wine, basically.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
kind
I
of the
think
same
that's,
thing.
I think there's a very good point that as a white wine, this is not a refreshing wine, right?
And
It's not it's a robust white wine.
yes. Mhm.
And that tends to be like my favorites. That's why I love Chateauneuf de Pape Blanc.
Mhm.
That's why, in which we had at the Christmas wine tasting.
Right.
That's why I really like Croz's Hermitage Blanc,
Mhm.
which is that Marsan, which is a similar kind of effect in here. I like these big robust, because I like robust wines, right? So I like them in my whites as well. And I not that I'm saying, because I like a crisp sparkler, but generally, if it's just crisp, it's gonna be crisp, it's gonna be tart, it'll be fun. It won't impress me as much.
Okay.
It doesn't mean I don't enjoy it, but it won't impress me as much.
You like
This one is robust, it actually impresses me.
complexity and the heavier mouthfeel.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me. And that's my X rating.
Yeah. Is that your new thing?
Well,
X-ray-
you told me I wasn't allowed to call my ratings.
Starts with an X.
So
he's
it was
now
gonna be
calling it
X rated,
X-rated.
93 points, X rated. There we go. Everyone has to have their thing. It's gonna be X rated.
That's your new
This
tagline.
wine is X rated, 93.
X-rated. All right. Should we share?
Yes, we should probably move along.
All right.
All right, let's thank our sources. Thank you very much to Wine Folly, always, Wikipedia, wine.com, Great Northwest Wine, Winery Hunt, Washington, and DeLille Cellars.
Oh, look, you spelled it correctly there.
Yes, I did.
I'm giving you credit for it.
I will remind you of something else to make fun of me after we stop the recording.
There's so much.
No, there is something in this page that you all teased me mercilessly for when we did it last time, but I fixed it. So we'll talk about that afterward.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
we're almost done anyway. Next week's wine.
I didn't even do my drum roll. I was so distracted.
We are going to enjoy a new wine from the New World. Hess, they're a great maker. We've all heard of Hess, right? Has a new Cabernet Sauvignon product made for on-premise, which means restaurants and wine bars, right? And
Okay.
because of the wine bar side of our business, we get to sell it. Otherwise, we couldn't even have it.
No, it is a nice, we have two different sides and
Oh.
two different licenses, which works out very well.
But so even for a big company, this hasn't gone into the ratings process or anything because it's not enough of it around, like
So very small production.
a smaller production, but the main thing is very linear distribution. It's not in the retail setting, so they don't tend to do that as much.
Okay,
Anyway, so Maverick Ranches, Cabernet Sauvignon, Hess, began in Napa, but this is their Paso. Remember, we talked about how Paso is the fastest growing wine region in California
Right.
by far.
yes.
And you have these Napa productions that are beginning to grab Paso land. It's that good.
Wow.
Paso, I'm so excited about Paso's future. The stories were just
That's what
there.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say, the stories
I know.
were just there.
that's right.
Mhm.
So anyway, so we are going to try. I jumped this one in
Mhm.
because I really want you guys to try it because it's just
Okay.
coming out now.
Awesome.
So food pairings. There we go. Like I say, brined and eggplant, barbecue pork, steak. I mean, I like to throw fun things in there, but all the things. Grilled eggplant, grilled mushrooms, blue cheeses, that kind of a thing. So,
Bacon wrapped duck breast.
hey, it's back.
Just
It's back.
see his wish list on here. You should start sending things to my mother.
Yeah.
She might make them for you. Who knows?
You think she'd make me
If,
bacon wrap?
if she's happy with you that week, and she doesn't like the actual animal of duck, she might make ducks for you. Duck food,
Oh, well, that would
because
make
she
me,
doesn't like
that would
ducks.
make me so happy.
Ducks to eat, yes, not
Yes.
ducks to see. All right, there you go.
All right, so
That
is
next week.
that is next week's one. So thank you all so much for joining us. In case anything else popped up in your mind before I sign off,
Yes.
please.
Any other questions or comments before we?
This wasn't that long ago, so but,
Well, that's true. I'm just asking.
okay.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.